Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of Forever Bristol City podcast. The final score at Ashton Gate on Saturday afternoon, it finished City 0, Charlton Athletic 0. So Bristol City to maybe raise our expectations, only to dash them with a lackluster display, was it? We're going to go through the action piece by piece with the two Tubbies, Mark and Dave. And joining me here is Neil Sutton. Chaps, start with you first. Dave, Tubby, final whistle, your thoughts?
A point gained, to be honest with you. I think if your keeper has made the most important saves of the match, you might be frustrated with the performance and no, you wouldn't take that every week. But at the end of the day, in seasons gone by, we've lost that game 1-0. You know, how many times have you thought when they're on top, it's coming, and it didn't come yesterday? It wasn't a spectacular performance, but it was hard fought. And for that reason, it was a point gained yesterday.
Okay, Mark, your thoughts?
I think the expectations were raised massively because of the result against Sheffield United. But of course, playing at home, you don't get the space that you're playing away. I thought Charlton were dogged, had to win their sales from a team that went up. City were better in the opening stages and weren't as bad as we thought. We had a lot of shots blocked. We might have only had one shot on target in a home game. There were lots of shots blocked, lots of good interplay early on. But our intensity faded right throughout the match, and Charlton were definitely the better side in the second half. One of their shots on target was it wasn't really. It was almost an own goal from George Tanner. So a fair result, but 24,700, I think 21. Brilliant crowd. Really wanted to see a City goal, and it was frustrating in the end, typified by a crap free kick from Max Bird. What they were doing, playing an outswinger that was just belted up into the air when it needed to be put under the bar with the keeper under pressure.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
Yeah, Max Bird. We'll talk about individual performances in a minute. And Neil, what were your thoughts? I mean, it's 4 points in the opening two games, and we've probably done it arse about face. If we'd have got a 0-0 draw at Sheffield and beaten Charlton 4-1 at Ashton Gate, spirits would be sky high, particularly on the back of getting through to the next round in the Carabao. But what were your thoughts at 5-5 yesterday?
My thoughts 5-5. I just thought that was a bit of a reality check yesterday. I mean, it was a typical Nathan Jones team that we were playing against. They were organised. They were in our face. They played a press on us in a way in which, you know, we're going to have to cope with that throughout the course of the season. Last week, fantastic performance, but we were clinical. This week, corners, set pieces, we couldn't get it past the first man. Passing was a bit awry. We were just off at times. There were some excellent performances, though. I thought Atkinson was absolutely fantastic, a real leader out there. And obviously Vitek, you know, commanded his box and some of his distribution at times went out. But a fantastic addition to the squad. But we weren't on it, particularly second half. And that's the type of game where it's a real demonstration of where we are. I think more realistically where we are than
Sheffield.
last weekend.
And I mean, in fairness, or whichever way you want to look at it, Sheffield, they are a club in disarray at the moment. I mean, they lost 1-0 at Swansea yesterday. So, you know, we might look back on that one and think, well, we caught them on a good day, but are they going to have a decent season under Ruben Selles? One would think not.
Yeah.
They've lost all three games so far.
In the cup as
Dave,
well.
the team, I said, I'm sounding like a certain other person there, aren't I? I said he'd stick with the starting lineup at Sheffield United. They started against Sheffield United, and he did. But when you look at the bench, there was, I don't know. I mean, no Josh Stokes on there and Yeboah or Knight LaBelle, yet players that haven't got a future at Ashton Gate, it would seem, like Roberts and Cornick and Permany won from Armstrong, Bell and Mayulu. What were your thoughts on the lineup, but perhaps more importantly, the bench?
I mean, the lineup is a fair enough lineup. I think if you ask most people, they would have gone with that lineup. Some might have gone with Dickey starting, but the lineup, they kind of earned the right to start. The bench, for me, you are allowed to take youth players out of the fire, shall we say. but I think it really highlights the left-hand side. There's no real plan B on the left. It's either you or it's McCrory doing what you does. It's everything cutting inside. There isn't really an extra option to come in and change it on that side the way that we would like Sykes to on the other side. In terms of the rest of the bench, yeah, it's kind of doing what it does. As a centre midfielder, there's defence there. There's a lot of attacking options that maybe lack high quality. But what it does is it highlights how many true difference makers are there to come off the bench. And realistically speaking, you've got Bird, you would hope, Armstrong in a way. But beyond that, no Stokes. For me, Stokes was the main one that was missing yesterday in terms of difference makers.
Yeah, no, Mark, your thoughts on the team?
Well, you've got a naturally sided left-sided player in Roberts, so it looks like Struber doesn't see him as a left wing back. Prefers to put McCrory there when Sykes is brought on. And the only other one the club, of course, is injured is Cam Pring. So I think now, if you want somebody who can power down the left, that's a key key transfer that we need. The naturally left-sided left wing back, because I can't see Hirakawa playing there permanently. I think the only way he fits into that formation is as a number 10, left-sided number 10. As much as he tries, and his work, there's nothing wrong with his work rate, but because he didn't have the space in transition, he was forced wide yesterday by Luton. Had very little room to play in, one that wasn't as effective. So that's what we need to do. Otherwise, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the team at all. I think what was wasted, though, I mean, it was noticeable that Atkinson, he made 3 or 4 runs in the first half, about 50 yards into space. They backed off completely. No end products. Why not take a shot, cause a bit of chaos, or play somebody in? It was just a very noticeable tactic with split centre backs, but nothing came of it. So, good idea, bad execution.
Yeah, I mean, Robin Finn's put up there on the text feed, Twynham and Metty were poor yesterday. We'll talk about them later on. And Dharma said, left side is our problem. Pring is not the answer either. And I mean, again, whether that's because of his fitness record, but he's not going to be around until November time, if then.
I think in terms of...
Sorry, Dave.
Sorry, in terms of like the opening, sorry to move it on a bit, but in terms of the opening, actually, the team's quite effective. They were winning individual battles, you know, the attacking midfielders were getting in on the ball in the right spaces. Reece was winning the channel battles. The issue with you, there's no problem with him being on the left, but once it stops being effective, what's your secondary plan? And at the moment, there isn't one over there, and it affects the shape of the whole side.
Well, good point. Neil, what did you think of... the shape and the bench, the people. What is the point of playing? What is the point of putting Cornick on the bench?
Well, I don't have a problem with the individuals necessarily on the bench, but you've got Armstrong, Malulu, Cornick, and Bell. Well, you're not going to bring all 4 of them on, are you?
No.
So you think to yourself, well, what is your thought process there? They're all a bit sort of samey,
crap.
I was at Millwall when Cornick scored, but I think with it, it's just sort of like you looked at it, and I thought he just delayed it a little bit. You know, I agree to an extent with Metty and Twine. Second half, they weren't getting it, and he delayed it, and he delayed it, and he delayed it, and then we'll get to it, obviously, talking about the second half, but then brought them on in the 83rd minute. And then by the time he brought them on in the 83rd minute, he had to bring 2 of them on and 2 forwards fresh. If he'd have brought Armstrong on maybe 70 for one of them, then he could have played with Reece up top, because actually Armstrong played quite well with Reece on Tuesday night at home to NK Dons, but he sort of delayed the substitution and brought it on. And
I love that thread on OTIV. It's Struber's prime for Maulu, and there's a one-way ticket on Eurostar anywhere but Ashton Gate. But there we go.
But yeah, I just think we missed a trick with not having Stokes on the bench. I think he's a differential sort of player. Came on, started quite slowly against NK Dons, but then did a fantastic shot from the edge of the area, hit the crossbar. And just, he's that type of player. You give him the ball, he can go past players. He's got a bit of aggression to him, a bit of pace, a bit of power. And, you know,
Well, that's what you talk about power, because that's the thing that
Armstrong.
Mehmeti hasn't got, and we know because he said, but maybe it's in training. Struber said at that little podcast get together thing, he quite likes Mehmeti, right? But he'd only seen Mehmeti on the training ground and in some friendlies, and I think yesterday Mehmeti was shown out for what he is, which is a bit of a lightweight. Yeah, I know he crashed the shot against the bar. Yeah, but I think Stokes should have been in there. Chaps, if we talk about Nathan Jones' team, spend a few minutes on, seconds or whatever, on their team. Am I right in thinking Kaminsky, the goalkeeper, is he the ex-Luton goalkeeper? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, they've also got Amari Bell, and they brought in Reece Burke from Luton as well. Reece Burke's currently injured.
And then Kelman, the striker who got taken off for the lump that is Carl Lieburn. I mean, was it Carl Lieburn? Or that was a former player? Is it his son?
It's Carl Lieburn, it's Miles Lieburn, and Alafe and Nibs, big, strong players.
And Nibs is son of Ralph.
I can't see how Kalman fits into the way that they play.
No. Well, Kalman cost them 4 million. Dave, if you spent 4 million quid on Kalman, we moan about Maulu, etc. But Kalman looked something or nothing up front, really, for them, didn't he?
I thought he was okay, to be honest. I thought as a whole team they looked very organised. They played very, very well. In terms of individual performances, they did enough to offer a threat. And if your own goalkeeper is the man of the match, or pick of the match, shall I say, I think generally speaking, the attacking line of the other teams had a pretty good game. If I was any of their players, I'd be thinking I played well today. You know, I don't think any of their team really had a poor game.
No, and Tyrese Campbell with the dreadlocks, I thought he was at thorn in the side all afternoon, Mark, until he surprisingly got taken off. Would you agree with that? That he looked useful for them on the left side.
Yeah, very lively. Was able to beat tackles, open up a lot of space. I think he went off because he looked like his hamstrings were tightened. He was doing some exercise on the pitch to stretch his hamstrings. So I think they're probably worried about a pulled hamstring or excessive cramp. I think it was probably hamstring. But yeah, he looked by far their best player. Apter was quite good on the right as well. And their wide players are much more effective than our wide players and caused us more problems. They seem to soak up the pressure. I think for most of the first half, I think we were on top, got close, had a few shots blocked, but they grew in confidence. In the second half, they dominated it. There were so many times when we couldn't get an out ball and hold on to the ball and bring players into play. It was getting very frustrating. It did look like a question of time before they scored, but we held firm. And I think, again, in Radek Vitek, you've got a quality goalkeeper there, good reactions on the floor for a tall player and very dominant in the air. I think he's got an optional recall clause in January. Let's hope he stays with us a full season because he could be a massive difference in this club. Very good young keeper.
I think if we're challenging and he plays well, I thought his distribution yesterday was a bit questionable, and I thought he hung on to
his kicks were. I think he wanted the pitch to be about 5 yards wider, didn't he?
I think he would, if he plays well between now and when Max is fit, I think he keeps the shirt unless he drops a Rick. And then if he drops a Rick and Max is preferred, he will be recalled by Man United in January. Equally, if he makes the shirt his own between now and Christmas, I think we'll probably extend it. And Parish had thought, we love it, but were we to end this season where we all want to be, he's the sort of player that you'd go to Man United if we did get promoted and say, we'll have him because, he'll have matured even through his time with us.
I think his distribution yesterday, I completely get that it was a bit slower than Sheffield United, but it was a different type of game. When you're under pressure, our chaos theory of getting the ball forward and chasing it and the percentages and all the rest of it. But when you're up against it, like we were for about a 15, 20-minute period there was a tide, there was momentum to it. And then you could tell why they got a 94th minute winner against Watford last week, because they just piled on and they brought their subs on 81, 82, 90, and they just piled forward. And then they had the momentum. And there were at times when Vitek held on to the ball a little bit longer than last week. But I don't mind that because we needed to calm the game down. I think the other thing as well, because we got dragged into their sort of game second half.
And yesterday, there was a drinks break in each half, right? And that drinks break in the second half came at just the right time for us because we were, well and truly under the cosh, as you state. I'm just looking at some of the text feed. Dave, Manning got criticised for not changing his style of play. We've just said that Nathan Jones, who's been around too long, there's a song title in there somewhere, he knows this division, and Charlton aren't going to be in a relegation scrap this season. I think we're all agreed on that. They were that competent. I won't say that good. They were that competent. But yesterday, Dave, what did Struber change enough? Because they sussed us, didn't they? That's what one of you has already said.
I think sussed is the wrong word. It's often said that managers, sometimes, they did their homework, or you would expect all teams to do it. But the fact is that if your A game is the game that works, that's where you start. And for the first 20 minutes, I thought we were excellent yesterday, because ultimately there's three ways that you win it. It comes with McCrory forcing questions out wide. It comes with Anis and Twine picking up the ball in pockets and driving. And we were doing that very well. And it all comes off the fact that we're setting up the balls into the channel with Reece. And for the first 20, 25 minutes yesterday, it was very effective. Reece was winning it because we were setting the ball up for the channel. And then from that, it was forcing them deeper, which meant Anis and Twine could get on the ball. The issue was after the 30-minute mark, they figured out what we needed to do to win. And they just said, that's nice, but we're not going to let you do it anymore. We're not going to let you win the channels. And we're going to force you to have quicker balls. It's perfectly fine going vertical, but if you're going excessively long, you stop being in the conversation for attacking threats. And we ended up walking into the trap of playing the game that Charlton wanted us to play. And the pendulum swung. We started in such a positive way, and by the middle of the second half, it's turned into a completely different game.
Yeah. Mark, let's get into the first half action, of which, whilst we were dominant and we were free-flowing, I haven't got many notes to talk about at all, really. In fact, I've just cribbed this off the BBC website. Mehmeti was wide early on, and then that was a good save by a good tackle by Ramsey, who robbed him as he shaped to shoot. But for all our enterprising play in the first half hour, and it did look good. Somebody said it was a game of 20 minutes and 70 minutes, to be fair. But we didn't have a lot to show for our first half efforts, Mark, did we?
No, I think there was a wall of Charlton defenders. They defended very well against our attempts to shoot, and I agree with Dave. Trying to play the ball into the channels to Reece. I think the way to change that would be to play shorter passes, and then go, and then say 1-2s through the defence. Try and do something a little bit different that takes them by surprise. I mean, that's something that Rob Atkinson could have done. If he's running into that space with the split centre back, just play a 1-2 or take a shot. We didn't do anything different, and it just became a bit samey. So Charlton put that wall up, absorbed all the pressure. They were confident from wide areas, didn't really affect them from free kicks or corners at all. And all that early momentum just disappeared, because I felt, just watching it for the first 20 minutes, 25, I was confident we were going to score. And then towards the end of the first half, Charlton woke up a bit and took that into the second half. But yeah, you really need to score when you're on top. That's what we did at the beginning against Sheffield United last week. And then the big surprise was that we absorbed the pressure and hit them, and then scored the second goal, and then took that into the second half. This time, we just didn't seem to be able to increase the intensity past the 25-minute mark. It really disappeared. Whether it was the heat, the extra game, I don't know, but it was a bit flat, the way we played for the remainder of the game.
I think
that word surprising.
That word you used there, Mark, flat. Come half time, I thought, it's not been a bad game, but we're not in front. If we carry on playing like that, we probably might nick this 1-0. Yeah, they were very defensive, and the number of times, because I'm in lower Lansdowne, so we're slightly towards the Atio end, the number of times Rob Atkinson came through, but he wasn't sort of getting many openings either side of him. we only had, although we had 14 shots in the whole game, we only had one on target.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's right though.
Well, that's the BBC.
Because I know, but I remember Hirakawa doing a very good volley that the guys in the first half that the Kaminsky saved. And I'm sure Reese had a shot in the second half that was just straight.
Yeah, it was a back. It was the one from Irakawa looked like it was going wide. Yeah, he sort of it was a controlled volley. But if he saves it, if he saves it, does it count as a shot onto? I mean, yeah, is it got to be between the sticks? But yeah, that's the only one in the Reese low shot in the second half that I can remember. Lots of block shots. Otherwise,
the main attacking ones. There was a Reese opportunity in the first half, which was really well defended, and if it hadn't been, it was well on target. And obviously the Mehmeti one in the second half. But in the first half, the point is that the threat was there. You might not necessarily have a clear cut. You should have scored, but you feel like, well, if you keep knocking on the door in this way and you keep asking the questions, a goal is going to come. And at the drinks break in the first half, I felt like, this is okay. You know what? There's work to be done. It's not perfect, but playing against a team that doesn't let you break on them so easily, if you keep playing like this, a goal will come. So when we got to the drinks breaks, I was satisfied in the first half.
Yeah, no, I was, and you at left wing back, right? I was worried about his physicality, but I thought he had a better first half than Ross McCrory.
Well, yeah, and I think.
Because he shows a lot of energy, and I took a friend yesterday, and he said, "Look how when the players, this is when Charlton were attacking, so this is the Lansdowne side, but the far end. But we always had two players going after the man with the ball." And then he said to me, "It's my friend in question is Tim Caper, who does stuff for BT Sport, so he knows his football." And he said one occasion where Hirakawa was running through, and he said, "Look at him; he's actually looking where to pass rather than blind head down, as we see so many players do when they drive forward."
I mean, the story for me with the first half was the amount of block shots.
Yeah.
Came to it, 8 shots, 6 block shots. So 8 shots in total, 6 block shots. And I just felt our decision making at times in the first half, we were rushing. The patience was it just felt we weren't making the best decisions on the ball at times. A little bit of patience, just ball retention, movement. Dare I say it, the thing that we had with Manning a little bit was patience at times and just get it down, play the ball around, because we've got some players that can keep possession and we can do the passing and all the rest of it. There was a shoot a little bit. And in crowded positions when they were deep, we were wasting opportunities by snapping our shots a little bit and shooting at the wrong time. And I don't think Knight had a particularly great game yesterday. And we'll get to the second. Yeah. We'll get to the second half in a bit, obviously. But
when Randall was being more Knight than Knight yesterday.
Yeah,
that was my view.
When Randall came off the bird, I thought that was a brave decision, to change it up.
And, wrong one, in my view.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into.
Don't go there yet.
Let's get into the second half. And there was no internet at Ashton Gate yesterday. The Ashton Gate Public Bowl internet was down, so we weren't able to tweet or anything. I don't know whether you noticed that at all, Mark. I mean,
I'm not using an Android phone, so you couldn't use your own provider, your own minutes, nothing at all.
I mean, some people have 5G phones around me, and I've got a Motorola Lite, which needs replacing. But
other brands are available for everybody, just in case.
Let's just say that X was very quiet yesterday during the game. It was like everyone was sleeping. Yeah, everyone was sleeping. Is that okay?
Yeah. Into the second half then, and Charlton gave intent of what was a good performance from them. On another day, if they had have snicked it, you wouldn't have said they didn't deserve it. Apter had a shot saved, another good save by Vitek. But we were still doing okay attacking-wise. Dave, Mehmeti, he did crash that shot against the post, but we saw everything about Mehmeti that is frustrating about him. Over elaborate extra touches and everything.
It was a very curious game from Mehmeti yesterday because he can simultaneously be your most dangerous player, offering the most, and yet the most frustrating and ineffective. You know, he was consistently getting in the right positions, probably the one they were afraid of the most, but too often making the wrong decisions. And in terms of his chance, the one that came off the bar, there's an argument that he could have hit it first time. But to be honest with you, I think it was really, really well defended. The defender made it as difficult for him as he possibly could by insinuating the block and then making sure that he cut the angle off as much as possible. And sometimes you have to just say, look, you know what, the defender earned that bit of luck. Because I don't think like Mehmeti's shot was not so bad if it hit in the bar, but his overall performance yesterday, I thought he played well, but frustrating. It's like make better decisions, but that's the Mehmeti we know. How often do we say that with him?
Yeah, Mark, what were your thoughts? And I mean, if that one goes in, whoever scored the first goal yesterday was going to win, I think. But, you know, angled drive, crashed against the bar, or angle of post and bar, I think it was. But what did you think?
I think he did very well from that position because he cut across the player, so his body weight was leaning to the left, managed to wrap his foot around it, and it was a very good shot in the circumstances. But the difference between yesterday and Sheffield United, obviously, when you're in transition, as traditionalists would call it counter-attacking football, everything gets renamed, doesn't it, these days? Low block, you know, midfield five would probably be better. Is that we are 1 and 2 touch passing was so much better. We were so much quicker in terms of the way that we released the ball. We divered a bit too much yesterday, and that was the difference. You know, there wasn't the pass and move intensity that there was against Sheffield United. Part of it was because, of course, we were the home team, but even when we were trying to break them down, sometimes you've got to run from behind the ball, and we didn't really do that at all, bar that chance, because I think Reece made that chance possible for us because of his strength in the penalty area. But we're really in attack playing a 3-4-3, and last week Reece, Mehmeti, and Twine were rotating those positions, see whoever was the furthest forward. You really needed 2 of those players closer together to make things happen. And Charlton nullified that. We didn't do anything to affect that. And that's really was the story of the game, that we just didn't do enough, have enough creativity to break them down at all. At the end, we were huffing and puffing, brought on 2 players. Oh, I'm sorry, just not good enough for the Bristol City front line. And that's where we lack the depth. That's the story, really. That and left wing back, I mean.
Yeah. Neil, Reece yesterday, I thought he had a good game. I think he leads the line well. He's classy. He looks quite a chunky, solid player, but he moves easily. He glides through, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I think he had a shot blocked either before or after the Mehmeti shot against the bar. But undoubtedly, Reece is a good signing and a good player. He's just what we need up there, isn't he?
He is, and for me, I didn't get why Struber waited until the 83rd minute. By the 83rd minute, Reece was starting to look tired. So then he had to bring 2 on, Fally and Armstrong on, whereas, you know, Twine's second half in particular wasn't having the effect. You could have made that substitution 10, 15 minutes earlier and brought Armstrong on alongside Reece, or brought Fally on alongside Reece. There to bring both of them on in the 83rd minute, just a little bit really with the pair of them. Armstrong, geez, from where we were in a couple of times, you just want him to compete physically, and he did not compete physically again. He's strolling around. He's
pushes one of their blokes in the back unnecessarily.
Well, that one, but push over by us. There were times where he just let the guy go past him. You know, slight physical challenge, initial challenge, and then just play, and he's just strolling around. And you're thinking, at a time when the subs are going on, when the tide, the momentum is against you, you want your forwards to defend from the front. And with Armstrong, you're just not getting that defense.
We're writing him off.
We're
writing him off.
Well, I thought he was. Yeah. He came on.
He did all right, but it was MK Dons.
I know it was, but
I think you have to bear in mind yesterday I know we'll come to it later in the game, but you're bringing players on at certain points when they're swimming against the tide. You know, when momentum's against you, it's not always easy to
Yeah,
to
but I
change
look in
things.
that situation, Dave. I look for, you know, the individual quality of the player to actually get stuck in,
Yeah.
to actually want it, determination that he's going to race around. I mean, he's coming on the 83rd minute and he's strolling around.
But don't
And
you think we looked?
in that situation, defensively, when you're up against it and a forward comes on, if I was the manager there and I saw a forward come on in the 83rd minute and you're strolling around and you're not putting the effort in on the physical 50-50 challenges, then that would be incredibly frustrating. And the rest of the players coming on, you know, would also look at him and say, look at the size of you. And then it's all about mentality. And he did it last season, and he's got opportunities with this new manager to impress. And he's not actually sort of, you know, come on, look at the size of you, look at the intensity.
Well, and in fairness, that stage of the game, I mean, we're jumping forward a bit, and but since we're talking about him, that stage of the game, your Boa would have been a better player to bring on because he is more. All right, he's better.
He dumped the two young guys after the weekend. He took them off at 45.
Yeah,
and then they're not on the bench.
Yeah, which is.
But I thought those particular subs, the second two, were more effective than the first two. You know, I understand about.
Dave, let's talk about the first two because you haven't spoken about that yet. I mean, you and Randall going off. Okay, you going off. You put McCrory over there. Sykes comes on. But I said last week, I don't think Bird, and somebody commented on it on X. I was right. I don't think Bird plays the high energy style, right? That this is a feature of the way Struber plays. And I thought he emphasized that yesterday because, you know, I described his style as laconic. He was, once we lost the energy of, Knight wasn't playing particularly great. Once we lost the energy of Randall, he could have taken Knight off and not Randall, to be fair, based on yesterday. But Bird came on, and that was when everything seemed to go to rat shit as far as City were concerned, because Bird offered nothing. And we talk about creativity, and in my head, that's the only thing that I see about Bird is that his ability to pick a pass. But then you could have brought Bird on. If you're going to bring Bird on, you could have brought him on for Twine or Mehmeti. And that's where Stoke being on the bench, that's another option to bring on there, still keeping the energy in midfield. Sorry, Dave, carry on.
I don't fully agree with you. I felt like up until the subs yesterday, changes were needed. And you could argue Bird for Randall or Bird for Knight, because Randall is not just an energetic player. He played a couple of spectacular balls yesterday and he moves it very well. And the good stuff he does is underappreciated. But we needed a bit more creativity. Bird overall yesterday was not good enough, which highlights how good Randall was. But there were a couple of times yesterday where Bird was picking the ball up, driving slightly, and feeding into the attacking midfielders. We talk about, and we spoke last season about, it's not just plan A better. At the moment, Bird is a plan B. It's about getting into him, being creative, and moving forward. He was short of that standard yesterday, but there were little snippets to say, once he gets up to match fitness, and it will take time, he will have something additional to offer, even if he was short of it yesterday.
What do you think, Mark? I take Dave's point that Bird needs to go to fitness and what have you. But with Knight and Randall in midfield, you've got energy. And when Williams gets fit, right, I see Williams as being the able deputy to either of those two in that engine room, you know, like the destroyer, not the creative, but energy, bite in the tackle. That's what those two bring. Do you think I'm right in saying that he could have taken Knight off instead of Randall? Because I think you said earlier, or one of you did, that Knight wasn't at his best yesterday.
Yeah, possibly. I think with Bird, you're looking at the sort of Pirlo quarterback, you know, Marlon Pack style passer who opens up defences. But he must be well short of match fitness. I mean, I think the problem with Bird is we know it was capable of for Derby coming off the side, had a bit of a shot. I mean, when we saw him against Preston, the way when he scored that goal, his ability to pass and move the ball to open up a defence, there is a quality in there. So I think he must be short of match fitness, not able to complete 90 minutes. So he needs to get up to speed. But I think we expected more. We expected a lot more from him when we came on, and he just didn't have it in him. It was just very flat, playing short balls when we really needed him to go forward and try and take the game by the scruff of the neck. I thought bringing him on was the risk and reward football that we were looking for, and he was there to make a difference, and he made no difference at all, typified by that absolutely woeful free kick in the final second.
I know. Why on earth did he do an outswinger then when it just needed to be put in the mixer or something?
Well, it was Mehmeti. He was still over the ball. Mehmeti was going to hit the ball right-footed. I'm not going to say Mehmeti's the best crosser of the ball, but he just hit the ball up in the air and it was there to be headed out, and the referee blew the whistle. You just want it. What you really want to do, you just pile players into the box and then hope you get a touch, defender heads it past his keeper, or you get a second ball or something. The crowd's up on their feet. You've got a free kick. Ross McCraw won a free kick.
Absolutely,
and it went flat.
Yeah,
absolutely flat.
Right there, because my friend sat next to me at the game, because you knew that was going to be the last kick of the game. That once it was cleared, the referee was going to blow his whistle. And he said to me he was surprised Vitek didn't go up for that free kick. Just chaos. It was poor.
Yeah, the referee. It could have done. The whistle was going to be blown. The whistle was going to be blown. You might as well have gone for it. Yeah. But to get a left-footed player playing an outswinger from the left was just absolute madness. But yeah, I think McCrory, just to draw a line under this, isn't fully fit. He's capable of so much more. He's the creative player that can open.
You're talking Bird, Mark. Sorry, you said McCrory.
Sorry,
Bird.
What I said. Yeah, Max Bird is so much better. Got so much more to offer, as he showed in flashes last season. He should be able to step up, and we see a better Max Bird this season, but clearly not fit enough to do
what I would say is, though, the sub did highlight what Randall does well. When you took it away, it was like, that's what we're missing. Yeah, and some of that stuff gets underappreciated sometimes. Yeah.
But aren't Knight and Randall sort of similar players in terms of the way they break up play and burst forward? Yeah. They're the sort of water carriers. And I think, Adam Randall, definitely very good signing, season player in the Championship, and just the sort of player that we need if we can keep him fit, because Joe Williams' fitness record is quite poor. So Adam Randall would be Joe Williams' natural successor, I think.
I think what Randall does well, watching him up close the first few games this season, the Real game and the MK Dons game from W13, quite close in there, rather than my lofty position in E32 installment, he reads the game so well, Randall. So when the ball breaks or that people are going in for challenges, he's reading where the ball's going to be. So he puts himself in a position often. He doesn't make a huge amount of tackles. What he does is just reads the game so well that he understands where the ball's going to drop, where the ball's going to fall on his interceptions and stuff. And he's a busy player inside of that. But then second half, I turned to our friends, because there's a large group of us that are all season ticket holders. And
you got friends?
One or two.
Why do you sound so surprised? He's a nice guy.
And that's very cruel on me. But I said this will be interesting with Struber, because up until those subs, the game wasn't out of control. We had some control, but we weren't creating anything. And it was like, is he going to be brave here? And I said, is he going to take Randall off for Bird? I didn't see the you thing, because I know you got caught on the Apta shot that was the save by Vitek and down the left. But I thought you was being not ineffective on that left-hand side. He was digging in. He was being a nuisance. The ball from McCrory across to the left. Wow. McCrory on the left yesterday, really poor. Really poor.
Well, he wasn't great in the first half either.
Well, there were times. One of the things that you get with McCrory normally is intensity, and he runs towards the ball and the headers. He runs. He was waiting for the ball to come to him yesterday. He was standing there a couple of times. He was waiting for the balls coming in and the crosses coming in, and static on the ground. And then he got beaten, and you thought, well, that's just not McCrory yesterday. He wasn't on his game yesterday, and particularly when he went to left wing back. If he was Struber, you'd be
you saw him both, because he was your side for most of the game, wasn't he?
Yeah,
on the Dolman side.
But he had a couple of opportunities in the first half to get forward, but second half really poor. I thought McCrory was really poor yesterday when he swapped over to left wing back, and then you could tell that again. Putting Sykes on the right, McCrory on the left. In his mind, Struber's thinking, right, we're going to be dynamic and we're going to get forward. Didn't happen. No.
The only good thing he did, Neil, was he did one great turn and burst forward, and Apter took him down and got a yellow card. But his balance is all over the place, and it's a means to an end because we haven't got a natural left-sided player. Hughes' work rate's exceptional. I mean, he's not a natural wing back. He's not tall if you play that cross-field ball, but he works exceptionally hard to slow players down. Doesn't give up.
No, that's what I think we're seeing the best. I think we're seeing the best of Yu Hirakawa that we didn't see last season at all.
I think his best position would be a number 10, not a wing back. If he could get
and there's competition for that.
Of course,
position, quite a bucket load. Dave, Vitek, the save of the game came just on the hour. He did a great low down one for a big guy. He can get down there, and then he saved late on from Harvey Nibbs as well. But that save would have been a Tanner own goal. That was another top draw effort, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a world-class save to get that low. I mean, he's a big guy. To get low down there, a lot of goalkeeper stats in. But Vitek isn't also immune from criticism yesterday. His distribution was not great. His kicking was going too long into channels with no one around. He was almost guilty of giving it away at times. And I think that's something more for him to work on, is to be more accurate in where the kicks are going. Because I know we see the chaos theory about putting it into spaces and attacking it and winning the ball. But it's not that chaotic. You've got to put it in places where you've got players to actually win the knockdowns to make sure it goes out for a throw. And I felt like him in the second half was contributing to that, because he was just giving it away with a bit of aimlessness. And it wasn't one, it was 2, 3, 4. So I think he had work to do. And it fits into the whole team in general, because when Sykes came on, what do you associate of Sykes? What's his main thing? Crosses, attacking a defender. How many times did he do it yesterday? So as a team, we didn't evolve to a plan B. McCrory goes to the left, and the big weakness of the side is that there is no plan B on the left. It's you or McCrory. Until Morrison gets up to speed or Pring comes back, no one is going to drive that side and get crosses in. So yesterday, McCrory's game was cutting inside. You've got players going long. The pitch is too small. And part of the change yesterday was Charlton basically said, we've taken your best punches. This is the best you've got to offer. We're going to come at you now. And we had no answer to stop that. We had no way of changing other than to survive it. And this is where the good part of Vitek comes in, because he made some crucial saves and didn't make any errors.
I suppose I can see Dom makes a fair point. Let's talk about a plan B. But I think we did do plan B yesterday. We did change formation. He did make early substitutions with swapping the wing backs, and he did bring Bird on in the middle for Randall. So he did try and affect change yesterday.
I think in a way that Manning wouldn't. I think Bird let him down. Because I said before the game, I tweeted Bird and Dickey to get half an hour. It didn't quite work out like that, because after Bird and Dickey, when fit or available, their first picks, right? Now Dickey came on for Tanner on 72, but Bird had 40 minutes if you include the 7 minutes time added on, and he did not deliver perhaps what Struber was expecting.
I think Bird has missed a lot of pre-season. He's been injured. He's missed a lot of pre-season, and it's our second league game, third game in total. He's still playing catch up a little bit in relation to that. The sharpness.
Why not play him as an overage player in an under-21 game?
Well, that may happen,
because that's what used to happen back in the day.
Yeah, well, it may.
Or you could have the football combination. A players were out injured, and then they'd have a couple of games in the reserves before they came back.
Bird was our most assists last season, and he's a good player. He is a good player, Christ.
He is a good player.
We got to the playoffs last year. We've got some good players in the team.
He is a good player.
Mr. P, I think your language was a bit harsh with let him down. I think he just underperformed yesterday.
Okay.
They did try to make changes. It's just the players that came on and the team ethic around it didn't see those
All right.
changes as so effective.
All right,
There
for
was,
me,
a, there
then,
was a
Mehmeti-
there was a kind of plan. There was a kind of plan B that I've just remembered. Sorry to interrupt, David.
That's right.
Was that when Tanner was taken off and Viner was switched to right centre back, he suddenly, went forward. He bombed forward because I think that was the only way that was going to bring Sykes into the game. Didn't really work, but it was something. It was something noticeable to throw Viner forward, and he won a corner, I think, from doing that. But like I said again, I think the main problem is the depth in it forward. There's no way that Sam Bell can play as a number 9. We're not really playing a lone striker because we're playing 2 number 10s behind and effectively playing a 3-4-3 in attack because Reece is a stronger player than Naki Wells or Mayulu. He can hold the ball up well. When he gets the ball on the floor, he can run the channels a lot better. But apart from that, you've got nobody. I'd move on Mayulu. I don't think he's settled. Football's not about sentimentality; it's about results. And try and loan out Sinclair Armstrong if somebody would take him. I think the only way we bring players in is if we trade, and if we want to get into the playoffs, if we want to move up the league, we're going to have to trade, and that means transfer activities and soon.
Yeah, I mean, my point, I was going to say, Mehmeti, he's the player that, based on yesterday, I'm surprised he managed to do the 90 minutes because I think if Bird had come on for Mehmeti, I don't think we'd have lost the energy in midfield. And I think we'd have had a little bit more creativity up front. Twine at his worst yesterday. I think he was okay in the first half, but he disappeared.
That's what I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised there's no Stokes on the bench because who are your classic number 10s or adventurous guys that are just behind the striker? There was none of the options really were like, right, they're not quite on it. We need to bring in someone else to do that. And for me, it was one of the key elements that was missing yesterday. And I know he'll have his reasons for not having him on the bench, but I felt like it was really screaming for him yesterday.
Well, if you've got Mayulu on the bench, I mean, why wouldn't you have some like Josh Stokes, who had a very good loan spell at Cambridge, outstanding player despite their relegation, and he looks a fearless player. Put him on the bench, give him some minutes. Why not? What have you got?
Tom of Robbins.
Player that's he's a player on the rise. Yeah, there's players who are dipping. So why do that?
Yeah, Tom on Robin's Nest has said Tom, the CEO, on his interview with Radio Bristol, that's Tom Rawcliffe, mentioned that we have a big squad and some will have to go, but is being pushed by Struber to get players in. Struber wants a forward and a left back, in his opinion. I think he's 100%.
Left wing back, you mean?
Yeah, left wing back. Sorry, forward and a left wing back. I mean, I think Tom on Robin's Nest is right there. He wants to bring 2 in, and there's, Armstrong right now. You could get rid of 3 from Mayulu, Bell, Armstrong, and Cornick,
and Roberts,
and achieve that.
It's different. What you've got, there is a difficulty if you're a financial CEO in this. These players are out of contract at the end of the season. So they might have a little bit of worth in them, small nominal fees, undisclosable, like McGuane or something like that in relation to it. But if you're getting them out on loan, I mean, Roberts was, by all accounts, very close to the Plymouth transfer, and that didn't happen due to finances at the end of the day, and just didn't happen. But the wages that they pay in League One compared to the Championship. Yeah. So then if you put a player out on loan in the final year of his contract, you're going to be subsidising him. And then, yes, you'd like to get rid of Cornick, Roberts on permanent, I would say. Just get them off, create a bit of space, and then maybe a Fally on a loan, because if you sell him at the moment, you're taking a big loss on your amortization. So I think with that, there's trading to be done there. Are you going to give Sykes a new deal?
Probably not.
There's trading to be done. Mehmeti yesterday, he had a wonderful opportunity to put Sykes in, didn't he?
Yeah.
When we broke and
played it left instead of right.
Sykes went a bit loopy at him, didn't he?
Oh, God, I'm not surprised.
But the thing is, why is this bloody mindedness over Harry Cornick? Because yesterday, he could have left Reece on. And are you telling me Cornick wouldn't have brought some guile, some experience to support
Some
Reece
long throws
in the last 20 and a long throw? Cornick would have offered more in the last 10 minutes than either of those two Muppets that came on. Would you agree with it?
I didn't see the Fally Armstrong combo. I thought you either go with one or the other, but he was forced into that because he waited until the 83rd minute, and Reece had run his day.
All right, but he could have bought Harry. He could have bought.
Yeah,
he could have bought Cornick. He could have bought Cornick. He could have bought Cornick and Mayulu on if he was convinced that he wanted to give Mayulu some minutes on the pitch. And I actually thought he did okay. I mean, there were some people saying he looked totally disinterested in the pre-match warm-up, and then somebody else saying he seemed to be laughing and joking with the players, which means that he's not an outcast or anything. And I can remember one of the Mayulu I'm talking about, one of the pre-season videos from the training ground. Mayulu seemed to be part of it. You know what you're going to get with Armstrong. Why no Cornick? Dave, come in.
Well, I think what you're seeing in the first two league games is that when we have a lead, there is a plan there about how you're going to still be a threat with that lead. And it involves Armstrong, it involves Bell, it involves getting the ball behind the back and a threat at pace. The issue is that when he's looking to change the game and go for the win, which he did yesterday, he wasn't settled for a draw. The changes he made were to get a win. Ultimately, how many players are there that can really change the game at the moment? And you've got Sykes. Beyond that, who are you looking at thinking you're going to change something? It's more hope football. It's more bringing on Armstrong and hoping that you get the best version of him. And beyond that, there's even less. And that's the issue, is that defensively in midfield, we have options. We can talk about how football's going to be played. But as soon as we have to make differences in the top half of the pitch, we've got quantity, but we haven't got quality to change a game that's to go for the win, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, look, I would sooner if they're trying to force Cornick out, then don't even play him. Don't if you're not going to bring him on.
That's what Manning did last year, and it didn't work.
Right, and look, for me, I'm looking yesterday available for selection or available for inclusion in the match day 20, but not included. Yeboah, he's not great, but you're giving him minutes, excluded. Morrison, again, as said before on an earlier pod the other week, I think he's suffering through spending all last season getting splinters in his backside. And then Stokes, and is it Knight LaBelle, the other one? I would much sooner see those four on the bench than Roberts, Mayulu, Armstrong, or Bell. You swap those.
I'm not sure about
I could not see, and you hit the nail on the head, Dave, the sense in having Cornick, Mayulu, and Armstrong on the bench. When Cornick came on, I mean, that there was that game against Millwall. He's a pest. He will just give defenders a hard time, and he will run and run and run like an Olympic sprinter to try and make things happen around the pitch. The other two don't do that. Like you said, we took the bat out Armstrong cruising around the pitch. Mayulu really needed to play in a two. I think his best game was as a sub. The two sub games he made against Hull and especially against Millwall, where he I think he linked really well with Twine. Got a great goal and linked well with Twine before his confidence went. There must have been personal issues there. Maybe he didn't settle in Bristol. I don't know.
Funny.
But why have the three of them on the bench, like you said, when you've got other options and you're really looking at players that fans would say, have those players really got any future? No future for Mayulu. Cornick is contracted to July 2026. As an employee, he's got rights and he can sit on his backside. I think he's recently had a baby, lives in Bristol. I mean, career-wise, not a good move, but he's entitled to do what he wants. But he would have given 100%, 110% on that pitch for 7 minutes and would have tried to make something happen. Yeah. The other two, not so much, and that's the difference. But having the three of them on the bench,
no, I think
when you've got other options,
100%.
I really don't. I just do not understand the logic of it.
Yeah. So Whitwar, well, you talk about players on the bench. Whitwar, Robin has also pointed out. What about Murphy on the bench as well? Creative, young, and what have you? We'd sooner see.
Well, he's the forgotten man's forgotten man. I mean, we got some. I think was it from St Patrick's Athletic in Ireland. Was talked up. had a
He's meant to be the
succession of
best
injuries.
player out of Ireland in very many years, which is why.
Yeah, but he's
To quote rumor.
Did he get any minutes against MK Dons? I didn't watch the game. He was on the bench, I think, wasn't he?
No, he played the
That would
under
have been
21s. He played for the under 21s.
That would have been a good chance to see him and fans to say, "Oh, look, that's what he looks like." Apart from his player profile,
he came on against Real.
Yeah.
He played against
Real.
Yeah,
how did he play?
Yeah. And Robin's Nessa said here, Mark recalling's bang on. I think he's happy showing up to the HPC and picking up a check. Yes, he's doing that. And as Mark said, he's an employee. I don't think he's slacking. He'd love to get minutes on the pitch.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if he's still got a career, what is he? 28. He's still got.
No, I think he's a bit older. I think he's a bit older than 28, Mark. I think he might.
He could certainly do a good job at a lower championship club, or definitely in League One. He's a fit player who will make things happen. He'll score goals. Just not good enough at its level, but unquestionable effort. If not, maybe the quality now. So
Harry Cornick, Mark, was 30 in April. All right. So you know,
he's still got plenty to offer as a professional.
If he goes in the summer, he'll get one last payday in his career.
But he doesn't have to go. He doesn't have to go in the summer. He's next summer. So it's still
not
a
this
long way
summer.
off,
Next summer, 2026.
Summer,
But I think, you know, there's been a few comments on the feed about what is our plan B. I think we did see a plan B yesterday with the substitutions and such, like the moving around, bringing the Bird on for Randall, the playing the two up top.
Oh, it was different. He was trying stuff.
There were plan Bs yesterday. They just weren't effective plan Bs.
That's the key, and it's going to take an evolution to pick up on that. There will be multiple plans. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised to see us go like a 4-3-1-2, shall we say. I don't see it just being a flat, this is how we're going to play, but that doesn't automatically mean it's going to be effective every time. And yesterday it wasn't.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think we nail ourselves too much to formations because it's very fluid during the game. Fours will become threes because one defender will become an auxiliary midfielder and so on. So it's very fluid, isn't it? Matches now. We've seen sometimes we see it as a staple formation. It doesn't work like that, does it?
I mean, no, you're right. AB said on the text feed here, next summer is going to be a lot of churn. Let's have a steady season. Well, let's have a bit more than a steady season. Let's look forward to Derby.
But the main thing I would say about yesterday, we didn't lose.
We didn't lose. And let's look at it. We're 2 games in. 2 games.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
2 games played, 4 points. And to use the extrapolation.
Oh God, here we go.
Here we go. Before we look forward to Derby next weekend, or next Friday, the Ball Boys, and I agree with what Robin's Nest put on the text feed last night. He's corrected himself in the manner that Dave Tubby did. But for me, the Ball Boys are like having an extra man, or they should be. They should be briefed before the game, because there was a few times yesterday where he's saying, for Christ's sake, somebody pick up the ball or roll it in. Dave Tubby, please fill us in on what the rules are regarding Ball Boys, because it has changed. I can remember going to Cambridge United back in the day when they had a manager called John Beck, and they used to be famous for their long throws. And the Ball Boys used to be armed with towels. And when it was one of the attacking players at the Abbey Stadium that had a throw-in, the player would be given the towel to dry the ball, but the away team not. Put us right on Ball Boys, Dave.
Well, Rob Skeets, apologise for the pronunciation, was generous enough to post it on X. And basically it says they are instructed to only return the ball that was already in play. However, they are not allowed to directly hand the ball to players. Instead, they must place the ball in a designated cone. And that's the issue with the Ball Boys. I have no idea what the rule is, but the point is the reason they're to do this is to not allow home advantage. But this is where I think the dark arts come in. You know, if that ball's gone out of play and you've got a ball boy there and just hands it, it's like, do it. You know, take advantage. How often do you see other teams with their ball boys annoying opposition players regardless of what the rules are? And I think there has to be an element of dark arts there, even if they are just following the rules, because you can't have a situation where you're looking for something and you've got players like, give me a ball, and the ball's not coming. Be situationally aware, I think.
Yeah, there we go. You put you right on
There was
that.
a few times yesterday where the ball boy threw the ball to City players.
Did they?
Yeah.
But there was a few times yesterday, which is obviously why Tom on Robin's desk and why I thought,
Yeah,
for Christ's sake, move it on, because Charlton were prepared to run the clock down.
Yeah.
Referee yesterday, Ben Speedy. Mark, come to each of you very quickly. Not great, was he? Or was he? He seemed to be giving them the 50-50 decisions towards the end of the game. All seemed to be going their favour. What did you think of him, very briefly?
I think there was a lot of shirt pulling, grabbing. Don't like that. Needs strong referee. Do something about it at the beginning of the game and it might slow down. I think it's noticeable that Armstrong stuck his backside into one of their players, went down like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Wasn't anything different than some of their players were doing. So it was okay. I think he played one or two bookings. Didn't notice him too much, but I think he could have been a bit stronger, really. Okay, average.
Neil, your thoughts on the ref? Poor, average?
Me.
Yeah.
I thought second half he got caught up in the game a little bit when the momentum changed in the way they were playing. I think if you're a ref and you're just things are happening around you, it was so that momentum change, wasn't it? In the second half, and it just felt as if it was coming the Charlton goal, and if they had scored, I couldn't see a way back for us if we had to. So I think the ref's second half just got caught in the moment a little bit, but generally I don't think he was that bad.
No.
There was.
I mean, I agree with Alan Gwinnell. So I said to my friend Tim at half time, I thought the referee was okay in the first half. I said he's all right, the ref so far. Second half, totally different view. Dave, as you saw it, referee not great.
I don't think he was terrible. I think he just kind of bought into what they were about. Like, you have a physical team, it's a physical game, and all of us, well, they were doing it a lot, but as the game went on, they were falling over more and more and more. And sometimes as a ref, it's like, if you don't give it and the team breaks, the game becomes about your decision, and it's easier for refs just to give it because they're playing on the safe side. So I think he was pretty average, to be honest. I don't think he was terrible.
Again, you weren't at the game, physically at the game yesterday, Dave, so this one's for Mark and Neil. There's a whole horny chestnut that comes up on the pod. That away end, fair credit to them, they made a lot of noise, right? But when you look at all the sheeting that's at the front few rows, Mark, do you not agree with me that it would make sense to withdraw the sheeting, put the sheeting down the middle and give the two end blocks in the Atio to home fans so that away ends, I know they were chanting, "Come on, you Reds," so psychologically it wasn't a thing, but should we do something about that Atio end, not to give it like a home end for the away team? Mark?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, there's shutters in there, so they could pull the shutters down and separate the home and away fans. I don't see it from a health and safety point of view. I mean, how would you see that, Neil? Is that possible?
We did it at the end of the season. Albeit it was Preston
against Preston,
yeah. But the on the ticket website there is a thing which says Atio tickets now, so I think they have got in mind that. But again, it comes down to finances, unfortunately. I mean, when you're thinking about it, how much we charge them? 39, 40?
Yeah.
It's a big income for us.
Of course it is. No, but I think, the thing is, when you've got 3,000, 2,500 Londoners down that end, giving it large, and we were quiet yesterday. What a great atmosphere yesterday.
Well, I suppose you could judge it against the opposition, couldn't you?
Section 82, where your big thing, the sun was beaming down on them. There were a lot of red people. There were a lot of very hot people in that.
All right.
Nothing to do with alcohol consumption.
I think you got it right there. There's a lot of seating that isn't used up at the front. You move it. So you move it sideways and you bring it down the middle, and you're getting the same away following, and you're bringing in a bit in the end, because they made a lot of noise yesterday. And I totally understand you want to maximize your finance, but you also want to make it an uncomfortable place to play. And in the second half, they're playing into their own fans.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't want that. You want to try and find ways to make it so you've got fans on every side of the stadium if it's possible.
They could have sold a lot more tickets yesterday on the back of the Sheffield United game. So
5-6 years I've been banging on about it, even put something on OTIBS over the top. And then realistically, when we had that horrible spell under Pearson where we couldn't win at home for nearly a year, and it was just like, try something different, because this concept of letting an away team play towards their fans, we always do it.
Yeah.
We all
we'll do it against Luke because
we do this thing about playing to the south stand, but we allow them to play towards the home end. So when you're tiring and when they get their feet up, and invariably what teams do against us is, and they have done this for years, is they allow us to play for the first 45, and then the second 45 they tend to change it, tend to go right. Okay, like I think Mark said that they take our punches and then they change. And then they go at a second half. Second half, generally at home, is when a team goes for us a lot more.
And they've got their own fans egging them on. And I wouldn't say section 82 apart, but I would say immediately behind the goal, the south stand isn't exactly, the centre blocks of the south stand aren't exactly ultras, are they?
No, all the ultras. Well, the thing.
The ultras are off to one corner.
The thing about the section 82 is if you actually look at it, there is one seat in the sort of the stand and it's safe seating, but it's not just that bit on the corner. There is the first block of the south stand. Close to it is seating, safe seating as well with the bars. Now, what happens is my youngest son is in E28 next to section 82. And he says what happens is that they have about 3 people per seat. So people get a seat in the south stand.
Or move across
to the safe standing.
Oh, I wonder why there's so many gaps.
It is absolutely bulked out there. And the stewards don't check people. They get a seat in the south stand and then they move. Hence why there's an empty seat in the south stand.
All right. I wonder why.
And then
all right.
Section 82 is absolutely rammed.
We were going to talk about Derby, and we will very quickly. Somebody said on here, shout out to Antoine Semenyo yesterday, Friday night. What a player. How many players have left Bristol City and gone on to achieve what he's achieved? You could say he's one of our own, because Andy Cole went on and achieved a lot after he left here.
And Tammy.
And Tammy has as well. But Antoine Semenyo scored 2 goals, had to deal with something as well that we don't want to see in football. Just about sums Liverpool up that somebody is that stupid in their particular situation to make those comments that cause the game to be stopped. Let's look forward to Derby. We think, well, we haven't got problems, actually. A certain other team in Bristol has. Well done, them. Derby on Friday. Dave, they were involved in an 8-goal thriller yesterday. They're conceding goals for fun. We got to go to Derby. And if we're going to say this is a decent start to the season, we have to go to Pride Park and come back with something, don't we?
First of all, it's the championship. You have to look at it from a Derby point of view. What have they done so far? They've lost both league games. They are going to be desperate for a win in that game. Ultimately, they started well yesterday, and they were 2. Hold on, let me just
2-0 down.
2-2, 3-2 up. So what does that tell you? That they have a bit of fight in them. In terms of our team, what am I expecting to see? I imagine that Dickey's going to start, and I would imagine that Viner moves out to the right and Tanner on the bench. What I'm really interested to see is how our bench lines up, because we've spoken about the players that weren't in yesterday. And going forward in the season, they're going to need to contribute. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about our best 11 running out of legs. And you have to start with that somewhere of bringing them in. So I would imagine Stokes is definitely going to be on the bench. Yeboah is probably going to be there. And Will Morrison, because at some point they need to start contributing during league matches.
Yeah. Mark, your thoughts for Pride Park on Friday night on Sky. We'll be doing our review of the game at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, but your thoughts on that game?
I think we definitely need to get something up there after they conceded 8 goals. Interestingly, they spent 7.3 million on a player from the MSL, Patrick Ackerman from Charlotte FC. Needs 7.3 million, according to Soccer Base, but he needs hernia surgery, so he's out. So I think that may have been one of the reasons they went for Carlton Morris, who's a horrible little player who used to play for Luton Town, scored the 2nd goal in our 3-1 defeat up there. Is not much ability, but he's got good strength, especially at set pieces, as we found out up there. Danny Bath, I think they signed centre back Caden Jackson, who's on loan, I think, from Villa, was at Preston last season. So they got a few signings, but a team that's conceded 8 goals are going to be a bit vulnerable. I go for a win for us, but it depends how they play. Last season, we started the game off well and didn't take our chances. And then they were playing long balls behind our fullbacks. and eventually won, I think, 3-0, and we looked 3-0 or 3-1, and we looked very poor. We were very badly beaten in a game that we started off well. So I tip us to win, but we've got to score when we're on top, and we've got to take our chances.
Yeah, before you come with your point, Neil, just quick one. Keynes has said it's not Liverpool, Dave, meaning me. It was one bloke and he was in a wheelchair. No, it's that Liverpool's got a reputation. I mean, booing the national anthem and stuff like that, they got victim syndrome up there. And a quick word for Steve Savage, who said, "Good morning, guys from North Carolina in the US of A. Thanks for this pod. Helps keep me updated on all things City. I think expectations were high. Move on to the next game." Absolutely right. Neil, your thoughts on Derby? I'm trying to see, have they still got Kane Wilson playing for them
He's
as
injured.
well? He's injured.
He's got a knee injury at the moment.
Got to get something, because a defeat, and then it's
it's
4
the
points
third
from
game
9.
of the season.
We want a point.
I know. In an ideal world, you go, right, okay, you say, you go up there, let's see a Sheffield United performance rather than a Charlton performance. But I go back to it. We weren't terrible yesterday. It's just we set our standards so high with Sheffield United, and the way in which we had 4 shots on goal, and the first 4 goals came from our first 4 shots on target. Yesterday we had 14 shots, 1 on target, 8 block shots, and it just didn't work. You're going to have games like that, but the main thing was we didn't lose the game, and we dug deep, particularly in the last 10 minutes. In particular, we dug deep, and we didn't concede, and they are a team that are going to go at you right until the final whistle. Hence their home win against Charlton, against Watford in the 94th minute.
Yeah, there we go.
Derby next week, you would hope to see again a little bit better decision making. I don't think we're not miles off. First half, we played some nice stuff. It was just we expected things to happen. I think the crowd expected things to happen, and I think the team first half, with some of its decision making, we of the 14 shots, 12 of them were from outside the box.
Yeah, which is something we were accused of not doing under Manning.
We didn't
shot from Swine, ended up in Rose's head.
We didn't get wide. We didn't get crosses in yesterday. If we had about 1 cross yesterday, I'll be absolutely amazed in relation to it. Look at some of the goals we scored at Sheffield United. That was getting the ball wide, whether it be Reece or McCrory or whatever on the right, and crosses into the box with it. We didn't do that yesterday. Yeah. So if we're going to play with wing backs, we need to push the ball higher up the field. We need to get those crosses in. We need to do stuff in the box. We can't just rely on all this stuff happening outside the box.
Mr. P, I have a question for you to finish my point today. The first 2 league games of the season, are you happy with the football that you've seen in the first 2 games?
Yes, I am. Overall, I am, Dave, because it's yesterday was going to be difficult because of the way Charlton played, and then the second half they came out. But I look at it from the from the point of view that we've got 4 points from the opening 2 games, and if it had come round the other way, a draw at Sheffield, we'd be over the moon doing this pod. Except our expectations were raised. We got a routine win against MK Dons in the Cup, but the style of football is better. It's there. But let's see what we do now again against 2 sides that won't be challenging in the playoffs this season. That's Derby away and Hull at home before we go to the international break. And then obviously after Hull is when the transfer window shuts. So I'm hoping that something happens transfer-wise. But in answer to your question, I'm happy. And I think Mark and Neil, you endorse my view that we're happy with our start.
Well, when Manning went, Struber came in, we didn't know what the season was going to be, did we? We spoke about chaos ball and all the rest of it. I like to think yesterday was a demonstration of it wasn't all chaos yesterday. There was some structure. There was some organisation. We didn't just, things didn't go for us at one end of the field. We didn't score any goals. But do you know what? We didn't concede any either. We've got some good defenders in the team. I love the main man, Atkinson. God, what a leader!
It's like
a leader!
It's like having a new signing.
If him and Manning hadn't fallen out, what a difference Atkinson could have made last season in the playoffs.
He's been incredible so far. He's been fantastic.
He has been fantastic. He's a new player back there for it, and everybody just looks at him. the throw-ins that are coming in, the long throw-ins, is Atkinson winning that ball. He is the main man at the back there. When he went down with that head injury, and they would like stretch it out. Don't do concussion or something like that.
No. I think it's good. Okay, everybody.
I'd say very quickly to that, if a fit Atkinson and Vitek could save us 10 goals a season. If Vitek stays here the entire season, that's a massive difference. So the main issue for us, I think, this season is going to be scoring goals, because our offence is organised. If we can keep the consistency there, and hopefully Luke McNally will be back before the end of the year, will add quality, because he's a sniffer. He comes out and snuffs out fires. Left centre back, I think he'd be terrific. And getting some quality in on the forward side, striker plus a left wing back, and we challenge. And it could be a very exciting season. So it's up to the boards, to trade players. But Vitek has been a revelation, and Atkinson, lost 2 years of his career. Could have ended some players' career. I mean, we saw what happened with Nathan Baker. Very sad end with his neurological issues. Atkinson came back, and good luck to him.
And great. Just one final point. Eamon Benarous, you talk about players' careers rocked by injury, released by us, where his contract came to an end, went to Plymouth. And what a ball that was, if you haven't seen it, that he put in for Plymouth to get the winner against QPR. So well done, Eamon Benarous. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot. Everybody who's tuned in, watched us live. And we'll be back with a report on the Derby, a podcast on the Derby game at this time, at 9 o'clock next Saturday morning. But in the meantime, everybody, have a good week. Thanks for listening.